بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. The changes of the Ummah and its conditions with no doubt starts at the individual level. The production of this individual with no doubt starts at very early age, or should I say before birth. And that starts when choosing the spouse, and choosing the mother, and choosing the father. And a lot of times we talk about the importance of choosing the mother, because she is very much the one who will take the lead in raising the children. If she chooses to fulfill her duties and her obligations, and if she chooses to fulfill the best job she can do, Allah created her to be able to do. But we should not neglect the father. We should not neglect the father, as he is also very important role, or he plays very important role in the bringing up of such children and such generation. We take it a step further, and we talk about the relationship between the father and the mother, and how important it is as well. And most probably the women always talk about how much we speak of their duties toward their husband. So tonight we will speak about, inshallah, about the duties of the husbands toward their wives, because we must create that harmonious family or relationship or marriage to be able to produce the best and give our children the best potential they can achieve. And I will take one hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and try to cover as much as I can from it. It's hadith that talks about women's problems with their husbands. So we want to see what is it usually women are concerned about, and what is it they care about. Because there's a problem of understanding their language and understanding their needs. This hadith, you find it narrated by Bukhari, Muslim, Nasai, Tabarani. Many other books of the Sunnah mention this hadith. But we will choose the narration of Al-Bukhari, as the different narrations vary, and we will add to it some when we comment, if we get a chance to, some of the different narrations. This hadith is known as Hadith Zar. Hadith Zar. يقول الإمام البخاري رحمه الله تعالى: حدثنا سليمان بن عبد الرحمن وعلي بن حجر قال أخبرنا عيسى بن يونس قال حدثنا هشام بن عروة عن عبد الله بن عروة عن عروة بن الزبير عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أنها قالت: جلس 11 امرأة فتعاهدن وتعاقدن ألا يكتمن من أخبار أزواجهن شيئا، فقالت الأولى: زوجي لحم جمل غث على رأس جبل، لا سهل فيرتقى ولا سمين فينتقل. قالت الثانية: زوجي لا أبث خبرا، إني أخاف ألا أذره، إن أذكره أذكر عجره وبجره. قالت الثالثة: زوجي الأشنق، إن أنطق أطلق أو أسكت أعلق. قالت الرابعة: زوجي كليل تهامة، لا حر ولا قر ولا سآمة ولا مخافة. قالت الخامسة: زوجي إن دخل فهد، وإن خرج أسد، ولا يسأل عما عهد. قالت السادسة: زوجي إن شرب إن أكل لف، وإن شرب اشتف، وإن اضطجع التف، ولا يولج الكف ليعلم البث. قالت السابعة: زوجي غيايا أو عيايا طباقا، كل داء له داء، شجك أو فلك أو جمع كلا لك. قالت الثامنة: زوجي المس مس أرنب، والريح ريح زرنب. قالت التاسعة: زوجي رفيع العماد، طويل النجاد، عظيم الرماد، قريب البيت من الناد. قالت العاشرة: زوجي مالك، وما مالك؟ مالك خير من دارك، له إبل كثيرات المبارك، قليلات المسارح، إذا سمعن صوت المزهر أيقن أنهن هوالك. قالت الحادية عشر: زوجي أبو زر، وما أبو زر؟ أناس من حلي أذني، وملأ من شحم عضدي، وبجحني فبجحت إلي نفسي، وجدني في أهل غنيمة بشق، فجعلني في أهل صهيل وأطيط ودائس ومنق، فعنده أقول فلا أقبح، وأشرب أو وأضطجع وأرقد، فعنده أقول فلا أقبح، وأرقد فأتصبح، وأشرب فأتقمح. أم أبي زرع، فما أم أبي زرع؟ حكومها رداح وبيتها فساح. ابن أبي زرع، فما ابن أبي زرع؟ مضجعه كمسل شطبة، وتشبعه ذراع الجفرة. بنت أبي زرع، فما بنت أبي زرع؟ طوع أبيها وطوع أمها، وملء كسائها وغير جارتها. خادمة أو جارية أبي زرع، فما جارية أبي زرع؟ لا تبث حديثنا تبثيثا، ولا تنقث ميرتنا تنقيثا، ولا تملأ بيتنا تعشيشا. قالت أم زرع: خرج أبو زرع والأوطاب تنخض، فلقي امرأة معها غلامين كالفهدين أو لها كالفهدين يلعبان من تحت خصرها برمانتين، فطلقني ونكحت. فنكحت بعده رجلا سريا ركب شريا وأخذ خطيا، وأراح علي نعما ثريا، وقال: كلي أم زرع وميري أهلك. فنكحت بعده رجلا سريا ركب شريا وأخذ خطيا، وأراح علي نعما ثريا، وأعطاني من كل رائحة زوجا، وقال: كلي أم زرع وميري أهلك. فلو جمعت كل شيء أعطاني ما بلغ أصغر آنية أبي زرع. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم in the narration of البخاري: كنت لك كأبي زرع لأم زرع. في رواية أخرى عند الهيثم بن عدي، the Prophet said: كنت لك كأبي زرع لأم زرع في الألفة والوفاء لا في الفرقة والجلاء. عند رواية النسائي أو عند النسائي رحمه الله تعالى، عائشة رضي الله عنها answered, or before that, عند النسائي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم also said كنت لك كأبي زرع لأم زرع غير أني لا أطلقك. وفي زيادة عند النسائي عائشة ردت على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت أنت خير يا رسول الله، أنت خير من أبي زرع. Alright? So very much this is the narration of the hadith. And I have to read the hadith. This is the hadith just finished now. Okay? I know some of you don't understand, but trust me, even the Arabs don't understand. Okay? Even the Arabs didn't understand what they said. Trust me. Okay? But I read the hadith as it came. And now we talk about it. Okay? So you have to be patient. You have to be patient. And I know the community, and I know I need to speak in English. Okay? So if you got angry at me, I request you forgive me. You forgive me? No? Are you serious? And then I won't talk. Forgive me? No, tomorrow is the night of Sha'ban, the middle of Sha'ban. The Prophet ﷺ said, he forgives everyone except a kafir, a disbeliever, and someone who's holding grudge toward his brother. Alright? So I got you there, right? I'll do it after the lecture. So the Prophet or this narration, Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet said 11 women got together and they took the oath amongst themselves that they're going to share everything about their husbands. Now remember, this is in Jahiliyyah, this is before Islam. Okay, this is before Islam. And women in Islam, or Islam came to tame these behaviors. Because the problem is, once you share something about your husband to other women, this thing becomes public. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن من أشر الناس يوم القيامة الرجل يفضي إلى زوجته وتفضي إليه ثم ينشر سرها. One of the worst people in the day of judgment is the man got his relationship with his wife and she has her relationship with him, and then in the morning he goes and he talks about her. What he did with her, what he did in bed, what he did with them. And this is one of the grievous sins that a husband can commit against his wife. And this is common in some cultures, this is very common. Islam came to tame all that, to discipline people, and to teach them manners and adab with their wives. And I should not forget to mention that righteous man when he had problems with his wife. And the people came to ask him, مَا الَّذِي يُرِيبُكَ مِنْهَا? What problems you have? Why you don't like her? قال الرجل أو العاقل لا يهتك سر امرأته. The wise man does not speak about his wife, does not talk about the flaws of his wife, does not talk about the shortcomings of his wife. For whom? Very much into your wife is the closest person to you. So there is no one closer to her, or should at least, than you. So who are you going to talk about her to? So he divorced her. Didn't work out. He couldn't solve his problems. He divorced her. So then they came back. They don't give up. They came back to him. They said, now you divorced her. So what was wrong with her? قال مالي ولامرأة غيري. He said, why should I be talking about someone else's wife? She's someone else now. She belongs to someone else. Who's my business? Huh? And the wise man and the good man does not talk about women if they're not related to him. So why should I be talking about another woman? And that is the attitude we should have. So يقول ابن حجر رحمه الله تعالى, he says, معظم أو جل كلام النساء بينهن الرجال. Women, most women, when they sit together, the most, or the topic they talk about the most is men. وجل كلام الرجال في المعاش. And men, when they get together, most they talk about is making a living. Yeah, they might talk about women here and there, but mainly talking about living, business, and investment, and retirement, and this and that. So those 11 women, قال ابن حزم رحمه الله, they are from خثعم tribe in the south, and some say they are from Yemen, but it doesn't matter. From Yemen, Khaz'am, or Broward, or Philadelphia, it doesn't matter. What matters is the lessons we can learn from this narration. So they got together and they promised that they're going to talk about everything about their husbands to each other. The first said, زوجي لحم جمل غث على رأس جبل. In one narration, على رأس جبل وعر. She described her husband like camel meat. Camel meat. What's about camel meat? Camel meat is very tough. Very tough meat. It's very hard to chew and digest. And actually, doctors say that eating it too much will lead to health problems. So once in a while, that's fine. But eating it all the time will lead to problems. It's very tough meat, not like a bun or the goats or sheep. It's very tough. So she described her husband كلحم جمل, but not any جمل, غث. والغث هو الرديء. Not only she described him as camel meat, but bad camel meat. Okay? Bad camel meat. On the top, not only that, but this meat is on the top of a very tough, rugged mountain. Very difficult to climb to. And even the meat is not good enough for you, even if you reach it, to transport it, to take it home to cook it. يعني نسفته نفس نسفة. She destroyed him. Completely. She took away from him anything good. Maybe he doesn't have anything good for her to say. ماشي؟ بل نقذف بالحق على الباطل فيدمغه فإذا هو زاهق. Completely. This man, she can sit and make dua for Allah, day and night, for him, for this guy, for this husband, to get her what she needs, to listen to her. Forget about it. This guy is useless. Useless. Very tough, very rude, very hard, very difficult to please. It doesn't matter what she do or what she does for him, he's never satisfied. So the question becomes, are you like that? You as a husband. Are you like that? Now that's what we want to learn as men to men. We're going to talk about the description of the man. And then we need to each one ask himself, do I have these characters? And what I need to do to get rid of it? That's the bottom, that's the point of this tonight. So this man, in general, if we describe him, is very rude, very hard to please, never satisfied, does not get anything done for her, very difficult, and bakhil, and very stingy, very stingy. Okay, and there is no benefit from him whatsoever. Okay, so very important. قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم خصلتان لا يجتمعان في مؤمن سوء الخلق والبخل. Two characters should not exist in a believer. Any combination. You can find believers who have one of the two. But if you find someone with two, هذا يعني he need to work on his iman. Bad manners and stinginess. You find people, he has bad manners, but he is generous. You find people generous, but he's rude. But to find a believer with those two doesn't happen. So you have to check yourself. Am I generous? You don't have to be spending right and left whatever they ask for. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He describes the believer, He says, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. And those Ibad al-Rahman, when they spend, they're not extravagant, don't waste money, and they're not very misers, cheap. They are in between. Some issues you have to spend too much for, some issues you shouldn't spend anything for. That is the balance. The balance is not to treat every issue the same way. Very important. That's a lot of people don't have that right judgment. They think balance means I'm going to treat every scenario, every situation the same. Sometimes you need to spend too much, and sometimes you shouldn't spend. Depends on the occasion. And depends on the issue. That is the balance that we're talking about. Okay? So this is the first one. And I cannot elaborate more as time in front of me and see more on my left. قالت الثانية, the second one said, describing her husband. So now it's 1-0. The guy is bad. 1-0. The second one said, زوجي لا أبث خبره إني أخاف ألا أذره إن أذكر حجره وبجره. She said, my husband, I will not talk about him. Muhammad, they agreed they're going to talk about everything. But why she doesn't want? She said, لا أبث خبره إني أخاف ألا أذره. Because I'm afraid whatever I say, I cannot give him what he deserves. But good or bad. The last part mentioned, she says, إن أذكر, if I start, even if I want to start, I won't finish until Fajr. But if I start, I have to talk about عجره وبجره. العجر, then I have to speak of his عجر and bujar. العجر are the veins in the neck. والبجر, veins in the belly. Veins. العجر, or the veins in the neck, everyone sees them. The veins in the belly, they're covered with clothes. So in other words, she's referring to that if I start, even if I think about starting talking about him, then I will not finish talking about his bad from the outside and from the inside. Everything. أسفة مرة ثانية. No mercy. There is nothing. He seems like, if you think he's good from the outside, let me tell you about him. If you think he's good from the inside, let me talk about him. So she said, even if I want to start talking about him, I cannot finish. Alright? So when your wife sits with other women, what does she say about him? Very important. Does she say, لا بث خبره إني أخاف ألا أذره? Let me tell you about his حجر وبجر. Be careful. Very important. Don't tell me I don't care. Well, if you don't care, you got no shame. It's your name. Fine. 2-0. The third one. قالت زوجي الأشنق إن أنطق أطلق أو أسكت أعلق. The third one said, زوجي الأشنق. الأشنق, the tall guy. And obviously being tall is very nice, very attractive. But in other words, she says, that's the only thing good about him, is being tall. Okay? People appreciate height, but not like your head out of the ceiling, huh? But tall people, tall men are attractive, and supposedly many. Huh? But the point is, she says that's the only thing, and it's not of his control. And he did not decide he's going to be tall. She says, زوجي الأشنق, huh? He's tall, but don't be fooled. إن أنطق أطلق. If I speak of him, huh? Or I answer to him, I get divorced. And if I stay quiet, أعلق, I'll be hanging. I don't know, am I divorced or married? Huh? So either way she loses. But if he's that bad, why she doesn't speak and get divorced? Because it seems that she loves him. So she doesn't want to speak and lose him. Okay? But the tall people, huh? Ibn Hajar, I don't recollect, but one of the ulama, he said, Tawil, usually the tall person, you find in him some habit, some naiveness, some slow, he's slow sort of, okay? We're not pointing to specific people, Allah Jaleekum, many I'm told to, okay? Supposedly. So he says, why is that? He said, because the distance between his brain and his heart is too far. So, slow, and he gets things slow. Needs a router? No, it needs mechanical. Okay? So, but the idea is, he's tall, but don't be fooled by his hand. He's always so rude to me, he's so tough, he doesn't give me a chance to breathe. If I speak, he divorces me. If I answer him back, if I comment, I get divorced. And if I stay quiet, again, I can't please him. 3-0. The fourth one, there are more than 10 scholars explain this hadith. وأشهر شرح, the most famous is القاضي عياض في المغرب رحمه الله تعالى, gave this in a book. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah in Fath al-Bari, in the explanation of al-Bukhari, he talks for 30 pages explaining this hadith. Another ulama. So I'm giving you very brief. The fourth one said, زوجي كليل تهام لا حرب ولا قر ولا مخافة ولا سآم. She said, my husband is like the night of Tiham. Tiham is the south of the peninsula, the Jazeera, where at night it's breezy. It's very soft, very nice weather. So she says, my husband is like the night of Tiham. He's very gentle, very soft. لا حر ولا قر. The night is not too hot, and it's not too cold. And he's like that. He's not always with the whip over my head like the guy before. If I speak, I get divorced. No, he's gentle. He's not so extreme to this side, and he's not so extreme to this side. Because extreme is not appreciated. He's not so extreme that he's على الحرف, on the breath. If I breathe, he's on top of my head, and he's this and that. And he's not too cold. That doesn't matter what they do, he does not respond, as if he's in hibernation. No, she said he's balanced. Not too cold and not too hot. Just like the night of Tiham. وَلَا مَخَافَةَ وَلَا سَلَامَ. And there is no fear living with him. I'm not afraid that for anything he's going to divorce me or he's going to abuse me. And no sa'ama, I'm not bored with him. I'm not bored with him. Again, it has to do with the issue of balance. Balance. He knows what interests his wife. He knows the things she likes. So he brings it to the table. Stuff like that. And that is very important. And that is very elegant manners to be in the service of your family as the Prophet ﷺ was. To know what they like. To know what they don't like. So you do what they like and you stay away from what you don't. Aisha radiallahu anha, the Prophet ﷺ tells her, for example, one day, I know when you're upset with me and I know when you're pleased with me. Now this is a relationship between husband and wife. And You as a Muslim, you cannot be upset with the Prophet ﷺ. But because she's his wife. And what happens between her and her husband is like what happens between other. So he tells her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I know when you're happy with me and when you're not. She said, how ya Rasulullah? How come? He said, إن كنت عني راضية فتحلفين برب محمد. If you're happy with me and you need to swear, you would swear by the Lord of Muhammad. But if you're not happy with me, you usually swear by the Lord of Ibrahim. Okay? So that is very deep noticing from the Prophet ﷺ. But look at the wife, how she answers. Aisha radiallahu anha. To eliminate any doubt. She said, Ya Rasulullah, Wallahi la ahjuru illa ismak. She says, Ya Rasulullah, I only leave out your name. And when I'm not happy, the only thing I leave out your name. But nothing in my heart. My feelings are still the same. What I think of you is still the same. I still love you. I still this. I still care about you. But only the name. And look at the harmony. Look at the balance between them. Him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and her radiyallahu anha. So 3-1. قالت الخامسة, the 5th one. Said, زوجي إن دخل فهد وإن خرج أسد ولا يسأل عما عهد. Now the ulama differed about this woman. Is she praising her husband or putting him down? Because the terms she used could be interpreted either way. So she said, when he enters, he's like Fahd. شو الفهد؟ لا. It's like a panther, but more toward being a cat. Okay, like a cat. Because panthers come from cats. Okay? So when he's in the house, cats are lazy. If you have a cat, they're lazy. Sit the whole day, no move, sleeping. Only get up when they're hungry. الدنيا تقوم تقعد حواليهم. Work happens, and the cat doesn't care. So she says, when he enters the house, he's like a cat. If we take it from that perspective, so she's saying, he's so lazy, he comes into the house, he doesn't even pay attention to us. He says, and what? I worked so hard for you guys, so I need a rest. So I'm going to sleep. Or, I'm so tired, tell the kids to be quiet, I don't want any disturbance. Give me the remote. He sits on his couch, recliner, the whole night, the whole day, because he's lazy. He works for them. It's your obligation to work for them anyway. So if we take it with that interpretation, that's negative. Another group of the ulama said, إِن دَخَلَ فَهِدْ. She's praising him in the sense that when he comes in the house, he's like a wild animal. The panther is a wild animal. He's like wild animal. She's praising him in his intimacy with her. So he jumps, he cannot resist, so he rushed to her. Okay? But that also can be taken as a negative interpretation in the sense that he doesn't introduce himself. There is no foreplay. There is no take it easy. Slowly, you're coming from work, you smell like gas or oil or he walks in sweating, straight. So that's negative. The woman doesn't like that. It's from all of your adults. Okay? So she could be praising him in the sense that he's so attracted to her, he cannot resist. And she could be putting him down by the sense that he has no manners in the way he approaches a woman. And he's not a gentleman. And the Prophet ﷺ guide us even in that. You are having intimacy with your spouse or with your wife. take it easy, slowly. Because it's more for her as emotional rather than physical, as it's with them. So it could be good and could be bad. That second part she says, وَإِنْ خَرَجَ أَسِدْ. So when he's inside, if we take up the interpretation that he's so lazy and so cat-like, but outside he's a lion. He's a lion. He wants to take care of everyone, and he wants to be nice to everyone, and he wants to serve everyone. Whatever you need, he's like a lion, a leader. But in the house, he's so lazy. That could be negative. Okay? And the positive. When he's in the house, he's like a wild animal, and when he's outside, he's even wilder. Okay? So praise and negative. The last part, she said, وَلَا يَسْأَلُ عَمَّا عَهِدْ. It could be good and could be bad as well. It could be good that he does not ask about what he entrusts. Yeah, he doesn't ask about every single detail about the house. He doesn't ask about, where's the $10 I gave you 2 months ago? He does not ask why this is like that and why this is. He's not picky, he's not controlling, he's not like that. Khalas, he trusts me with something, he doesn't ask me about it. He assumed that I will fulfill what he trusted me. And it could be bad in the sense he does not ask about his responsibilities. He doesn't ask what you need. He doesn't ask how you feel. He doesn't ask if your day was okay. He doesn't ask about it. وَلَا يَسْأَلُ عَمَّا. So this woman, her interpretation, or her, what she meant could be good and could be bad. Okay? So that's that. The sixth one, قالت زوجي إن أكل لف. My husband, when he eats, he does not leave anything. He eats everything. ما في جوع. وإن شرب اشتف. And if he drinks everything. ترك. وإن شرب اشتف. وَإِنِ الضَّجَعَ الْتَفْ. Now who he ate. Now to eat everything and to drink everything, that means she cooks good. Okay? That means she's doing what she's supposed to do. وَإِنِ الضَّجَعَ الْتَفْ. Who ate everything and drank everything, and now he needs to rest. So when he goes to rest and lay down, he wraps his blanket around himself. Not to share with her. Not to be under one cover, la. He goes on the side of the bed and he wraps himself with the blanket. وَإِنِ الضَّجَعَ الْكَفْ وَلَا يُولِجُ الْكَفَّ لِيَعْلَمَ الْبَث. And he does not even stretch out his hand to touch me, to check on me, if anything wrong with me. لِيَعْلَمَ الْبَث. الْبَث هو الحزن, the grief. He does not touch me, he does not ask about me, he does not caress me, he does not hug me, to find out how I feel after a long day of cooking for you and making all types of drinks and soups. Ask how I feel. And it could be he does not even touch me. He has no that desire for a relationship with me as a wife. So all he cares about, food and drink and sleep. Okay? 4-1. قالت السابعة زوجي غيايا أو عيايا طبقا كل داء له داء شجك أو فلك أو جمع كلا لك. She said, my husband is غيايا. غيايا from غيايا. الغيايا هي الظلمة, darkness. So my husband is so insecure and so inconfident about himself, he cannot make a decision. Everything for him is dark. He cannot make the right decision. He got many options, but they all look dark. He cannot choose what's right. غيايا أو عيايا. عيايا is من العي. العي يعني he's dysfunctional. And if he approaches me, he's dysfunctional. Okay. طبقة يعني مطبق على بعضه. بليد. Okay. يعني he's very slow, very insensitive, very into his own world. كل داء له داء. Every problem out there, he got it. كل داء, he got it. Anything negative, he got it. شجك أو فلك أو جمع كلا لك. When he's upset with you, he could hit you until he makes your head bleed. الشج هو الجرح في الرأس. أو فلك, or he will make you bleed somewhere else in your body. Either is your head, sometimes he hits on the head, on the face, and sometimes he hits on the body. أو جمع كلا لك, and sometimes he combines, mashallah. He hits the head and the body. العياذ بالله, العياذ بالله. This is ظلم and oppression. And this woman, subhanallah, how she started describing him, she said, غيايا, from darkness. وَالظُّلْمُ ظُلُمَاتٌ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. And oppression is darknesses on the day of judgment. Yeah, Abdullah, if you think you can flex your muscles on a woman, wallahi, that makes you no man. That actually takes that away from you. Takes away from you. Anyone can do that. Any man can do that. It's not something special. It's disgraceful for a man. This woman, Allah Azza wa Jal entrusted you to take care of her. Allah, and by the name of Allah, she became halal for you. Didn't you get married in the Sharia of Allah? Did you have to do the right way, the way Allah wants for her to become your wife? We don't just pick up a woman off the street and khalas, ya Allah, go do, she's my wife. No. You have to go through a protocol. Protocol, the way Allah describes. The Prophet ﷺ said, and he warned and he advised and he reminded the believers of taking care of the women in his last sermon. فَإِنَّهُنَّ عَوَانٌ عِنْدَكُمْ أَسِيرَاتِ. He reminded them and he said, these, your wives, these women are like prisoners in your house. He a prisoner. She cannot go out and get married to someone else. You have to divorce. You have to let her. You have to take care of them, to fear Allah Azza wa Jal in the way you treat them. You've got anger problems, get help, fix it. Seek help, seek professional help, seek that help from people you trust and you think they can help you. Amma to say, Wallah, I lose my control. It's not an excuse, Abdullah. It's not an excuse. طيب. قالت الثامنة زوجي المس مس أرنب والريح ريح زرنب. She said, my husband is so soft. When you touch him as if you're touching a rabbit. You know, rabbits are so soft. المس مس أرنب. The way he treats me, the way he takes care of me, the way he's very gentle. والريح ريح زرنب. And his smell is like zarnab. Zarnab is some type of plant that has very beautiful, very good smell. So his smells good, his touch is good. Very nice guy, like most of you. I'm sure. قالت التاسعة زوجي رفيع العماد طويل النجاد عظيم الرماد قريب البيت من الناد. She said, my husband, his house is huge. His house is a huge, طويل العماد, a very big house. طويل العماد, very big house, and usually on a hill, so it's sticking out. And that is to invite any guests, and his doors are open for guests to serve them. Very generous. عظيم النجاد or طويل النجاد. النجاد is the housing of the sword. So she's saying his sword is too long, which is indicative or symbolic for him being very tall guy. Look how she described him when she liked him, and look how that one described her husband when she did not like him, and he was tall as well. قالت زوجي العشنق عظيم الرماد. He got too much ashes, which is symbolic for he's always cooking to serve the guests. Very generous. قريب البيت من الناد. His house is not in the Everglades, so no one visits him. His house is amongst the people. قريب البيت من الناد. يعني any caller, they will reach his house. Very in the middle of the town. Anyone can reach, anyone can see. Indicative of his generosity. Okay? Someone who's that generous with the strangers most probably will be more generous with his own family. So she praised him. قالت العاشرة زوجي مالك. Her husband named Malik. وما مالك? What's Malik? And that is to praise him, a sign of praising, an exclamation, عجب, فخر. ما مالك? Let me tell you about Malik. زوجي مالك. ما مالك? وما مالك? مالك خير من ذلك. Anything good has been said before, Malik is better than that. And anything bad, Malik is better than that. Malik خير من ذلك. Then she goes to describe him, she says, له إبل كثيرات المبارك قليلات المسارح. He got camels. كثيرات المبارك, المبارك is where camels stay. So they're always, يعني they spend too much time in the barn, if we could use that word, in where they're supposed to stay. They spend very little time herding outside, grazing, very little time. إذا سمعنا صوت المزهر. المزهر is a musical instrument. But remember, this is in Jahiliyyah. So don't bring this hadith and say, oh, that's okay then, in musical. No, this is in Jahiliyyah. If they hear صوت المزهر, يعني العود أو الربابة, usually a musical instrument, when a guest comes, the people of the house play it as entertainment. I don't think they got router there. Alright? So they play. So he says, those camels that are always staying around, not going out to graze, when they hear that musical instrument, they realize that they're going to get killed. Because they realize they're going to be killed to serve the guests. So they freak out. But again, she's praising her husband and describing his generosity. Ya Abdullah, the last thing, you want your wife to think of you as being cheap. She will hate you and she will detest you if you're cheap with her. Okay? Now that's not to say you can do the other bad stuff, no. But really that's the last thing you want to do with your woman, to be cheap. Women do not like that at all. Okay? And don't be like that cheap person. When a guest came to his house, he calls his son and he says, go get us half a pound of meat. Half a pound. So the son went to get half the pound of meat. So the butcher tells him, I got meat, like honey, and he's so good. So the kid thought, oh, well, look at who his father is. He thought and he said, well, honey cheaper than meat, so I go buy honey. So he goes to the honey guy, farmer. He said, give me that pound of honey. He said, I got honey like water, so pure. He said, why should I pay for honey if I can get water for free? So he gets water and goes home. So his father, where's the meat? He said, I did 1, 2, 3, I got you water. He said, son, you went from one place to another and you messed up your shoes. He said, Dad, don't worry, I use the guest shoes. That's my son. Alright, so don't be cheap, man. Okay? Why you work? Why you make money? Be generous with them. Take away from yourself and give from your own interest. You like to buy this for yourself. Let it go if you don't have. If you can't only, but to give them what they need. Some sisters complain that they wish to have, there's no need to mention restaurants or the name of the restaurant, so we don't make advertisement free for that. But she says, I'm begging my husband to get me a meal from this fast food restaurant. She's begging him. And he tells her, why? We got food at home. You cook. Why? Why we get always? She's begging him. Why? This woman goes to a sheikh, and a true story. And she says, I have jinn in me. And every time her husband tried to approach her in bed, she says, she started freaking out, I got jinn. So she says she got jinn. So they take her to a sheikh to read on her, to treat her, raqi. So he reads 1, 2 months, whatever time, and then he tells her, listen, I know my business. You have no jinn in me. You're lying. So she says, yes, I am lying. I just want to get rid of this man. He said, why? She said, he's so cheap. He said, what do you mean he's cheap? Because, for some women, if you're not buying her a piece of jewelry every month, you're cheap. That's not what we're talking about, okay? This woman is out of her mind. We're talking cheap, when you're not even doing the minimum of your duties. She said, let me tell you, she tells the sheikh, let me tell you about how cheap he is. The fridge, he put a lock on the fridge. The oil bottle, the oil bottle, he measures it with the ruler to see how much I use. So the sheikh said, well, he got jinn, huh? He said, you know what? You have the right to ask for divorce. That's miserable. So, it's very important to stay away from that. The last woman, who is the hadith named after her? The hadith named after her. She said, Abu Zar, Zawji Abu Zar. Wama Abu Zar? That's his name, Abu Zar, his kunya. Anasa min huliyin udunayn. Very quick, I will just translate the meaning, and then you can learn and reflect. She said, Anasa min huliyin udunayn. He made my ears so heavy from the jewelry he gives me. So we know he's generous, huh? وَمَلَأَ مِنْ شَحْمٍ عَضُضَيْنِ. And from all the food he brings and all the food he tells me, eat, he made my arms thick, which is a sign that she put weight on him, because he's so generous and he wants her to eat. وَمَلَأَ مِنْ شَحْمٍ عَضُضَيْنِ وَبَجَّحَنِي فَبَجَحَتْ إِلَيَّ نَفْسِي. He spoiled me so much, and he made me feel so good and so great of a woman, until I start believing I was a great woman. And sometimes that can be very disastrous with women. That can be very harmful. That's why if you look in psychology of men and women and relationships, the things that a woman should praise the man for, are different than the things the man should praise the woman. And if the wrong things get praised, then it will lead to negative results. Okay, can't talk about that differently. So she said, he made me feel that I'm good to the point where I start believing about myself that I'm really good. But she did not, this woman is good because she did not forget where she came from. She said, وَجَدَنِي فِي أَهْلِ غُنَيْمَةٍ بِشِقٍّ. He found me in a family that lived in a small place, small house, and we got a couple of goats. Goats, not if you have goats doesn't mean you're rich. So he found me very simple family, very poor. فجعلني في أهل صهيد وأطيط ودائس ومنق. So he made me amongst people who own what? Horses, صهيد, camels, أطيط, camel when it's moving and things on top of it, the noise it makes called أطيط. أطت السماء وحق لها أن تأت ما فيها موضع 4 أصابع إلا في ملك ساجدا لله. So he made me amongst people who own horses and camels. Da'isin from stepping, which is symbolic for stepping on food. They call them da'is, which is a sign that, and they're farmers too. Because when you're a farmer, you step on plants. وَمُنَقْ يعني الأنعام, all types of animals. So he took me from a poor family, and he made me into the elite. فعنده أقول فلا أقبح. With him, I speak my mind, and I don't get shut down, and I don't get cursed. لا يقال لي قبحك الله. It seems that that's what she used to deal with in her old family. فعنده أقول فلا أقبح. I speak my mind, and I'm respected. وأرقد فأتصبح. And I sleep until late, which is a sign that she got people serving her and she doesn't need to wake up early to take care of the house. وأشرب فأتقمع. And I drink until I cannot drink anymore. There is no guy measuring the ruler after her. أم أبي زرع فما أم أبي زرع. She loves her husband so much, and because he's so good to her, she goes far now to describe his mother. Okay? She says, أم أبي زرع فما أم أبي زرع عكومها رداح وبيتها فسح. عكوم, it's the containers or the bags or the cases she has at home. She says, عكومها رداح, that her cases are full of good stuff. يعني مقرش. She got a lot of money. وبيتها فساح, and her house is so big. And again, she's praising her and saying that her house always has everything you need. And she lives with her most probably. And she's praising her. فأنت خلاص, when you love someone, everything about him you see good. When you really love someone, everything they do you see good. And whatever they like, you like. And that is true love. And the one who deserves the highest level of love, or that really type of love, is Allah Azza wa Jal. فأنت, when you love Allah Azza wa Jal the way you should, anything that you perceive as bad happening to you, you know it's good because it's coming from Allah. تعصي الإله وأنت تظهر حبه هذا لعمره في القياس بديع. إن كان حبك صادقا فأطعته إن المحب لمن يحب مطيع. If you truly love Allah Azza wa Jal, anything happens, you know it's good because it's coming from Him. So this woman loved her husband so much, everything she saw related to him is good. So she described his mother, then she described his son, not her son, his son from different men. ابن أبي زرع فما ابن أبي زرع مضجعه كمثل شطبة وتشبعه أو يشبعه ذراع الجفرة. يعني she's describing his son is like the sword, مثل الشطبة, like the sword, like he's very strong man, very thin but very elegant. بنت أبي زرع فما بنت أبي زرع. She goes to describe his daughter. طول أبيها وطول أمها, so obedient to her parents. ملء كسائها, very beautiful. وملء كسائها وغيظ جارتها. الجارة usually is the stepmother. So her stepmother is jealous of her because she is so perfect. جارية أبي زرع فما جارية أبي زرع. So she described his mother, she described his son, she described his daughter, now she described his servant. I told you. And in the narration of Al-Bukhari, she described his servant, and then she finishes with that. But in other narrations, she goes to describe everything, even his cooking pots, his walls, his house, or how much she loved him. جارية أبي زرع فما جارية أبي زرع لا تبث حديثنا تبثيثا. The servant, the maid we have in the house, she does not spread our news outside. She's good. ولا تنقذ ميرتنا تنقيذا. She does not waste our food. Well, it's not mine, I'm just working here to get the garbage. ولا تملأ بيتنا تحشيشا. When she cleans the house, she does not collect the dust and put it behind the shelves or under the table or under the carpet, make nests, you know. Some people who clean like that, you lift the carpet, there's like a nest there. She doesn't. ولا تملأ بيتنا تحشيشا. Then she says, one day Abu Zar left the house. والأوطاب تمخض. الأوطاب تمخض. It's this containers where they shake the milk in to take out the butter, the fat. So that means they usually do that so early. So that means he leaves early. Fresh man. And also to show you that they're so comfortable that they don't need milk anymore. They got enough milk, so they need to get the fat. خرج أبو زرع والأوطاب تمخض فلقي امرأة لها غلامان لها كالفهدان. He went and he came across a woman who got 2 kids with her that belonged to her. كالفهدان. They're like 2 tigers, okay, or 2 panthers or whatever. Which is a sign she's telling you why he made the next decision. Because if you think about her description, she described his children, but not hers. She has no children. Okay? So when he saw this woman has 2 kids with her, يلعبان من تحت خصرها برمانتين, which is a sign that she's young. Okay? She's young, and they still like rumanatain, firm. So that means she can't get him the kids he wants. فطلقني ونكحني. So he divorced me, and he married her. شوف, after all this praise, and after he divorced her, she still praised him all that for. That's love. That's love. The heart that loves doesn't know how to hate. It's like a man who married a woman, and then after a while, she got a little older, he married another one, a second. So the servant of the second one come out one day, and she sees the servant of the first one. So she says, or she throws a couple of lines. She says, لا تستوي الرجلان رجل سليمة ورجل مضى عليها الزمان فشلت. She says the 2 legs are not equal. One leg is very healthy and good, and one leg so old to the point where it's getting paralyzed. And here she's referring to the old wife and the new wife. So the maid or the servant of the first wife, she said what? قلب فؤادك حيث شئت من الهوى ما الحب إلا للحبيب الأول. كم منزل للمرء كم منزل في الأرض يعشقه الفتى وحنينه أبدا لأول منزل. She said what? قلب فؤادك, love whomever you want. The true love is always for the first love. Every person got many places he's familiar with on earth, but his longing and his love usually goes back to the first house. And I'm sure all of you got memories of the first house, in the first land, in the first neighborhood. Kabariya Beach. Alright? So after all that, he divorced her. And he married that woman. So she says, فَنَكَحْتُ بَعْدَهُ. So I got married too after him. She did not sit home and cry and wail until the rest of her life moves on. فَنَكَحْتُ بَعْدَهُ رَجُلًا سَرِيًّا. After him I married a very rich man. Very elite, very respectful. رَكِبَ شَرِيًّا. He's riding a very unique horse, very strong horse. Again, praising him. وَأَخَذَ خَطِّيًّا. He's carrying a not sword, but الخطية هو spear or نبل. And Khat is an area close to Bahrain. And Bahrain in the past refers to the east of the peninsula, where they used to make, it's an area used to make those spears. So he's carrying that to show that he's very courageous and very proud, brave man. وأراح علي نعما ثريا. And he gave me so much. He gave me so much. وآتاني من كل رائحة زوجا. And he gave me from every animal pairs. Camels pair, horses pair, sheep pair, cows pair. وقال كلي زرع وميري أهلك. And he told me, eat. يعني he's spoiling her, eat and feed your family. Give your family gifts, give them. Very generous with her, very generous with her family. And the woman loves them. Then she says, وَلَوْ جَمَعْتُ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَعْطَانِي. If I put together everything the second husband gave me, it's not even worth the small cooking pot of Abu Zar. That's it. So Aisha, so the Prophet ﷺ tells Aisha, because Aisha is the one who telling this story to the Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ got the affairs of the Ummah over his shoulder. And he gives the time to his wife until she finishes. شوف. He's not yet finished. You're taking too long. And women love to do that. They stretch the story so long. That's how they are. So look how the Prophet ﷺ just sat there and listened. Even in some narrations, said that the Prophet ﷺ knew the story. Already knew. But he sat there and, oh, do you know what happened? What happened? You go to your, she read something in the news. You know, in Washington. I read it. I don't need it. It's so rude. Makes you like لحم جمل. So like camel meat, man. So when she finished, the Prophet ﷺ looks at her and he says, I was to you like Abu Zar to Zar. Because that's the best description of a man in the whole story. So he ﷺ, he says, I was to you like Abu Zar to Zar. In one narration, but I will not divorce you. Because that's the only, perhaps, bad thing Abu Zar did, that he divorced her. So Aisha radiallahu anha, in another narration in the Nasai, she said, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, you are better than Abu Zar. The flirting and the love. What's wrong with us? So that is something in the books of the Sunnah. Perhaps this is the strangest hadith in the terms of vocabularies in the whole books of the Sunnah you will come across. But the point is, most probably you caught something tonight that maybe you can take and review yourself and evaluate yourself and see, maybe I'm that man, maybe I'm this man, maybe I got that character, maybe I got this character. Huh? And when your wife tells you something about you, trust her. We got so much ego that she says, you know what, this is how you are. You say, no, I'm not. Well, maybe you're not in your mind, but the fact she says you are, then take that into consideration. Maybe I am. Huh? Maybe I am. But we are usually rushed to blame her that she's wrong. Well, maybe you are cheap, after all. Huh? Maybe I am very cold. Maybe I am careless. Maybe I am eat too much and then go to sleep by myself. You don't know. So when she tells you that, when she addresses concerns to you about your relationship with her, pay attention. Pay attention, because most probably she's right. Okay? And with that, we create the harmony between husband and wife, which will reflect on the way we are upbringing and raising our children. When they see the harmony, it's going to reflect on them. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حديث ضعيف, but the meaning is okay inshallah. He says الود يورث, love gets inherited. يعني in other words, when your children see that the father loves the mother and the mother loves the father and they respect each other, perhaps they're going to inherit that attitude, for sure. And they're going to inherit that manners. And they're going to practice that in their relationships as well. So the way that bad parents will affect the psychology of the children, also good parents affect the psychology of the children. Once we have that harmony formula in the society, then the ummah will rise again. When each, the husband and the wife, know their priorities, because she's not worried that he's not spending on me, and he's not worried that she's not taking care of him. Once these things are aside, the personal issues are resolved, then we can think of the rest of the ummah. So we all need to work together, husbands and wives. They're the keys for this ummah to rise to the next level. بإذن الله عز وجل. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.